I've been asked if I could comment on a thread that is appearing on Reddit. I guess there are a number of candidates who are at a certain level, level 3, and even some charter holders who are suggesting that the designation didn't help them do anything, didn't get them anywhere, and are quite vocal about it not being worth the effort, the time and effort. In any profession that you get to, you'll always find some who say, this has done nothing for me. You can find individuals with accounting designations who can't get a job. I have, over the years, run into graduates from the universities that I've taught at, and sometimes they're working behind a bar. And they're negative about the degree. Look, this hasn't done anything for me. I didn't get anywhere with it. It was a complete waste of money. And you do hear this a lot from students that have graduated and found that nothing came of it. This says more about the individual than about the school, the degree, or the designation. For the ones that I've spoken to, students specifically that have said, look, this degree didn't get me anywhere. I remember them. I remember them on day one. Sir, do we have to read the book? Are your slides enough? Do we have to attend class? Will this be on the exam? Is this enough? If I memorize this, can I pass the test? That's all they cared about. They, on day one, negotiating how little work that they had to do to get by. And I would always give the same speech on day one, that, you can, if your strategy is to get by, you might do it. You might get by. But at some point, you're going to sit in front of a recruiter. You're going to have to produce your transcripts. You're going to have to speak about the very profession that you want to enter. This is not about getting a degree or taking these courses. This is about preparing you for a career. Same with an accounting designation, same with the chartered financial analyst. Some people approach this as 3 tests. I gotta do 3 tests that I gotta get the minimum passing score on, and then I gotta have 4 years work experience, and then I'll have the charter, and then doors will just open for me. No. Doors will not open for you just because you have it. You still have to show up. You still have to be an interesting person. You still have to know what you're talking about. So you can't approach this saying, well, what do I need to do to pass the test? Is this going to be on the exam? Do I need to read the book? You should be looking at this as an opportunity to become an expert in your field. Now, there are some things in university, and I'll be the first to admit this, that a 4-year business degree, that's a waste of time. It really is. It can be done in 2 years. There are some courses that are absolutely necessary, and there's some that are just there to fill the 4 years. So there are some times where, a student will ask, well, what will I ever need this for? And sometimes I have a hard time answering, especially for the more pure theoretical concepts as well. If you're going to go on to do a science or a research-based degree, this may matter, but you're in a business school, which is a professional school, not an academic school. A business degree is a professional degree, not an academic degree. Yeah, sometimes it was hard. For CFA, for the Chartered Financial Analyst, I can defend everything on every single page as being relevant and useful in the real world. I don't know if you're going to find a better aggregation of practical applied knowledge like you would in the 3 levels of CFA. Now, I'm critical of some of the readings. I'm critical of some of the readings in the way that the information is presented, but I'm not critical of the reading in the content it's presenting, just in the way it's presented. Some writers are not great writers. That's just one of the things you have to live with when you're reading a textbook or a book with a whole bunch of different authors, is they're not all going to be great writers, and they're not all going to be able to teach well in writing. But the content itself is used on almost every single page that you get to. Almost every single learning objective has a real world application. So you can look at the CFA designation is I got to pass level 1, then level 2, then level 3, and I'll get my charter, and then people will just give me money. I'll just, doors will open for me, and people will say, oh, you have the 3 letters, come on in. Those 3 letters represent a skill set that you have. Now, some people say those 3 letters represent the fact that I passed 3 tests with at least 65 or 70%. And that's the way they approach it. And they come out the other side, and, I've dealt with lots of charter holders where, I have to give my head a shake after and think, how did you survive? The gaps in your knowledge are so wide, and when you start talking about an application of something, you lose them very quickly, and you have to explain what's going on. So, if you're going to approach it as 3 tests that you have to pass, don't do it. Don't do it, because you're missing the point. Those 3 letters is a certification that you are an expert in a particular domain. It's not a certification that says, hey, well, imagine if you had that thing on the wall and it said right at the bottom, this person got at least 70% on 3 tests. Well, what is that? I mean, what is that? I think we all know people who are really book smart, but not very street smart. That they can recite something from a book, but when you stick them in the real world, they fall apart. The content in the CFA levels, all 3 levels, is as real as you get. Now, if you're watching my YouTube channel, at least in the last month since this crisis has begun, I've had time to do more applied videos. You'll see how I apply the stuff right off the pages right into the real world. It cannot be more real. If you don't have a burning passion for this game that's called finance, it's a beautiful game. It's a beautiful chess game. It's a long game. You want to play a role-playing game, this is it. This is the game of life. And it is rewarding. And sometimes it's punishing. Like any other game, you win, you lose. But if you don't have a burning passion for this, do something else. If you just see this as 3 tests that you have to pass, but you're not really into it, if you don't love the words on every single page, if you can't wait to turn the page and see what new thing you can learn and apply, do something else. If you've never watched a moment of business television, or read the Wall Street Journal, or Barron's, or opened The Economist, if you're not dying to know what's going on in the world, if you don't think about the economy, you don't think about the variables and what this could mean for this sector or that sector, if that doesn't keep you awake, if that doesn't light your fire, do something else, because you'll never be good at this. And if you're really not passionate about it and you get the charter, it's going to show up in every job interview you go into. Because it is not just the questions they ask you. Every part is the job interview. The receptionist, she's part of the job interview, or he's part of the job interview. They're going to keep you waiting because they want to see how you respond to that. Do you get impatient? Do you have this sense of entitlement that I had an appointment at 3 o'clock, it's 3:05, what's going on? My time is valuable. You're not going to get that job because you're, an asshole. How did you treat the receptionist? Once you get into that room, I guarantee you somebody's going to ask you a question in conversation. Those markets today after the Fed announcement, what did you think of that? And if you're like, I don't know, right away, well, come on, it's one of the biggest things on the street and you don't know. Clearly this is not something that keeps you awake at night. Clearly this is not something that you can't wait to get up for in the morning. You don't really want a job, you want a paycheck. If you think that your real learning starts as soon as you get a job, you're wrong. So, when I hear people say, well, my investment in my education really was just a waste of money, I think, no. You get out of it what you put into it. You just didn't get anything out of it because you didn't put anything into it. You didn't really care. You looked to get by. And for these individuals who say it didn't get me anywhere, I want to see your transcripts. I want to see the scores that you got. I'm absolutely certain you just got by. I'm absolutely certain you did everything at the last minute. I'm absolutely certain that you saw this as just a test that you have to get through. And do I have to read the book? If I have your slides, is that enough? Do I have to do question banks? Can I just watch the video? We've been lucky on our site with subscribers that 95% of them are there for the knowledge. They're there. They understand that I'm here to be successful in my career, and on my journey of gaining this knowledge, I'm going to knock out 3 tests because I have to. I have to prove that I know this knowledge, but they don't see the tests as the goal. They see the knowledge as the goal. The tests are just the hurdles along the way. But we do have about 5% that will send you the email with all the questions. Do I have to read the book? Are your videos enough? How many hours do I have to put in? Can I do this in 2 months? Do I have to watch the seminar videos? Do I have to do, all of the things that they're trying to figure out the least amount of work that they have to do to get by. If your strategy is to get by, like I tell my students at the first day of every semester, if your strategy is to get by, you may get by. But you will also spend the rest of your life just getting by because it will be obvious. You still have to get a job. Now, you may get a job, but you have to keep that job. And it's going to become very obvious very quickly that you don't know what you're doing. So when you're going through the content, if you want to be a superstar, if you want to be great on every learning concept, stop and say, I'm not going to memorize this. I'm going to ask, how do I apply this? When would I apply something like this in the real world? I get this with probability a lot. When are we ever going to use probability? And the answer to that is, are you kidding me? You're going to use it almost all the time. You have to think about where we are today and what the economy is going to look like in 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, a year. Well, you're going to have certain scenarios that you think are probable, and you're going to have to weight them with some kind of probability. What is more likely? Because in this game, there are no certainties. It's all about playing the probabilities. It's about playing the odds. In my applied series, in the last couple of weeks that I've been putting up, I've been stressing that you should not short the markets. You should always have a long bias on the markets because markets spend about 90% of their time going up. That's a historical probability. By being long, I'm playing a probability. How do I know it's 90%? You can check the historical record. Go back over the last 240 months and count the number of months the market went up versus the number of months it went down. You'll be about 90%, 85 to 90%, depending on where that moving average happens to be. That's probability. Everything is applied. This is, if you're going to go through the process, you really want somebody that's teaching you that also knows how to apply it as well. What in the industry, or at least in the academic industry, we call pracademics. There are research academics and there are pracademics, and then there are just teachers. Teaching academics are those that will not do research nor have any real practical skill in the real world. All they know is what's on the page of the book. They're great sessionals, but they're certainly not captivating. They're not great teachers. Research professors, great if you're taking those theoretical courses, but a pracademic, especially in a business school, especially in finance, and especially in accounting, that's where you want these people who have 1 foot in academics, 1 foot in the real world. They know how to teach. They don't just repeat or tell you what's on the page. They actually explain it, and then they can apply it. Some of the best questions that I get asked under the videos, because we have comment sections under every video, some of the best questions is, how does this apply in the real world? Oh, wow. Let me explain. Let me tell you how. Those, when somebody asks that question, I can see that they really want to attach it to the real world. Can I use this? How can I use this? When would I use this? Why would I use this? That's what you want to ask yourself as you go through this process. Find a good pracademic. Find somebody who knows how to apply it and who knows how to teach it. You may think, but you're describing yourself. Well, yeah, I am describing myself. because I've done it. I know how to do it. And because I've done it, I can tell you beyond the shadow of a doubt that everything on those pages is exactly how it's done in the real world. You're not going to find a better manual for how it's done in the real world. So, is the charter worth it? It's the same answer I would give for somebody who says, is a degree worth it? Is an MBA worth it? Is a PhD worth it? Is a computer science degree worth it? Is an accounting designation worth it? Is the FRM, CFA, are any of these things worth it? Only if it's something you really want to do and you're learning, not just passing a test, that you really, really want to know what's going on. And you're not just saying, okay, well, I got to pass this test. I need at least 70%. I don't have to worry about this or this. I don't have to read the book. I'm not. And you're trying to negotiate just to pass a test. If your goal was to pass a test and you're a charter holder and your goal was to pass a test, I'd love to have a conversation with you, because I will find errors in so many things that you say. I will find all the holes in your knowledge. And I'm absolutely certain you probably don't know how to apply basic strategies in the market based on what your forecast is. You probably have simple brute force strategies: buy stock, sell stock, buy bonds, sell bonds. So for those that are saying, or at least all you charter holders or you candidates that are going through the process, that are reading these negative comments and questioning whether or not this journey you're on is worth it, understand that these are certain types of people that probably didn't get anything out of it because they probably didn't put anything into it. Every university graduates people like that. Every university will have a certain handful of students, the left tail, where they can't get a job, they can't get an interview. You got to show your transcripts. They're finding out that C plus B minus getting by strategy is not working for them, because I see C pluses, B minuses, and I say to myself, this is someone who was unwilling to put in the time. What's going to change? They'll also be unwilling to put in the time. If you're sitting in front of me in a interview, I'm conversationally going to ask you what you think about some aspect of the market. That's part of the interview. If you can't hold your own, then I know you're really not interested in this, because if you were, you'd be all about it. You would know everything. You would already be up to speed. You may not know all the fine details. I can get you the rest of the way there, but I want to see that you're coming ready to do the job. I want to see that you have some knowledge about what's going on and that you can tie it to things. So in an interview, I may ask you, what sectors do you like going forward? You can't just say, well, I don't know. You have to be ready to answer that. So I don't know. I don't want to go on and on and on. Here's a simple rule as you're learning. Learn, apply. Learn, apply. Learn, apply. No need to memorize. Once you know how to apply something, you just know it. It's a strategy that you know. You can tie everything to the real world. You see how it works, and then you'll be successful. You'll be successful when you see this as a skill set that you have to develop and not 3 tests that you have to pass. I hope that helps you.